All my life, I have had a passion for sports. How could I not? It's in my blood. But for me, sports has always meant something different. It is a way of expressing my love for being able to move my body as much as I can, and a way to showcase my determination to succeed despite my disability. I, as you can see, have written a book. It's called Beautifully Different. I'm 23 years old and I have a disability called cerebral palsy, which is a form of paralysis. And there are certain things that are more difficult to do, and so I do a lot of things one-handed, such as play sports one-handed, type one-handed, pretty much everything one-handed. So I go throughout my days doing things one-handed.
When I first met her, she was a sophomore, and I think still very much kind of hiding her disability. You know, it took me, I'd say, a good week or 2 weeks, or even like 3 weeks before I even realized that she had limited mobility.
In my book, I talk about different events in my life that kind of have shaped who I am and what my outlook on life, and kind of how I choose to see all the challenges that I face and how I choose to attack them.
I think it was, you know, I think just her being strong like that, and then having, you know, one of her friends, you know, like seeing this in her and being like, hey, you know what, you should try, you know, writing a book or something. And then she kind of went with that idea, and she really liked it, and she just did it.
Yeah, and
it was quick.
She kept writing like for the whole summer.
Yeah.
She just wrote because like everything, her, you know, all her experiences, her emotions,
yeah,
like, all that in her head, she just put it all in the paper.
Yeah.
And it was like
she just wanted to get it down like as quick as possible, I think.
I decided on Beautifully Different because all my life I have felt different, and I think a lot of people tend to associate being different with, you know, a negative connotation, and so my goal with that was to make being different seem like a positive thing, because that's how I see it.
I think she brings, you know, that toughness and that strength into the sports that she played.
Yeah, a lot of determination.
Yeah.
You know, since she was little, she always tried like different sports. Like, so she started out like learning to dance, like ballet, and then it wasn't her thing, and she tried out like swimming and softball, and you know, she always had, you know, struggles.
Without a doubt, she's grown a lot stronger and confident. Like watching her speak at the Camp Everytown luncheon was just, I cried all the way through it. Like, you know, and she'd tell her journey, and in her journey, she'll explain, like, not always being fully confident in self, you know? And so from the outside, we could see that a little bit too. But when she was up there speaking at the Camp Everytown luncheon, I mean, it was perfect. It was beautiful. It was a culmination of kind of our years together in some ways.
The hardest day of camp for me was the day we did the disability simulation lunch. During the activity, students are given disabilities by either having their hands tied behind their back or blindfolded and have to eat lunch that way. And then after lunch, they could, you know, take off whatever restriction they had. But during lunch, it really struck me that I have a disability. You know, this person over here has his hand tied behind his back, and I deal with that every day. And I think it struck me so much that when lunch was over and everyone just got up and left and didn't have a disability anymore, and I was still stuck with mine, I just kind of fell apart. And it was pretty much the first time I ever cried about having to deal with a disability.
Then, of course, she comes back to campus and she's like, all right, well, I want to do something that makes a long-term difference. So it's not a camp where we just go and have an experience for 1 week and then forget about it the next week. And so she said, Miss Brill, I want to make a difference on campus. And I'm like, great, what do you want to do, Natalee? And she's like, I want to make a Disability Awareness Day. And so I was like, fantastic, let's do it. And so we sat down, we met a series of times, and she designed different lessons that teachers could do in the classroom that would simulate having a disability, and then a debrief of what that looks like. So,
Like, I remember in high school we did the newspaper for Natalee because she was doing the article for her disability day or something.
Oh, the awareness day.
Yeah, and like for the Mountain View newspaper, and they have us to be part of it as the triplet and what it's like being triplet, and that was like a chance to tell who we are, and all the students get to read our story. And
with Natalee, I think it's that strength in knowing herself and loving herself and accepting herself, and that strength in once she decides what she's gonna do, like she's gonna do it. Like she's got like that bulldog power, you know, it's like I'm doing it and there it is. And so I see that as being kind of like her driving strength, you know. But then just the resiliency of kind of who she is too.
Light to me makes me think of the light at the end of the tunnel. So, and by that I mean with any challenge I'm facing, there could be that positive outcome, that light at the end of the tunnel. But for me, it all depends on the attitude I have when facing that challenge and the mentality I choose to have as I, you know, attack that. I guess a phrase I live by is, you're as capable as you allow yourself to be.